of PBS Nova and has appeared on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, The Colbert Report, and even The Big Bang Theory. He is host of Nova Science Now and director of the Hayden Planetarium in New York City. Please welcome Dr. Neil deGrasse.
First of all, let me get some street cred with you. I taught physics and astronomy at Austin Community College in Austin, Texas. I'm going to talk about skepticism today, and they gave me 30 minutes. I thought I had 2 hours, so we're going to have to speed this up. You know, sometimes talks like this are just loosely veiled commercials for like the book somebody is trying to sell you, but this is no exception. Yeah. Actually, what I'm about to talk about has nothing to do with anything I've written. It's something that should be in all of us. It's something called skepticism. Because there's so many people out there who are not skeptical, who say, oh, you have to have an open mind, and then they believe anything that anybody tells them. And they're so gullible to believe things. In fact, their minds were so open, their brains spilled out. That's the problem here, right? You have to sort of resist this. So let's give some examples, all right? I think I have a roving mic. Oh, I'm messing with the sound guy there, sorry. I love messing with the sound guy. So let's go right off. Let's see. Let's just talk about UFOs. Just excuse me. You look up, you see lights in the sky, and you don't know what the lights are? That's what the U stands for in UFO. It stands for unidentified. That should be the end of your sentence. You don't say, I saw lights in the sky. I don't know what they were. They must be intelligent aliens from outer space visiting us in a spaceship. No! You just said you don't know what it is. Period. That's where the conversation should end. Go on, start talking about the weather or something. Come on now. What else do I have? UFO sightings. Why am I up there? There we go. Anybody here been abducted before? Because all of you, okay. So here's the thing. I don't have a problem if you've been abducted. I just need more than your eyewitness testimony to account for it. Here's the rub. In the court of law, eyewitness testimony is very high-level evidence, whereas in the court of science, it is the lowest evidence there is. You come into the lab and say, I swear I saw it. I don't care. Bring me some better data than information that had to be processed by your brain. Right? The human system of biology is a bad data-taking device. Now, here in America, you can go to the bookstore and buy this. Now, I bought this book. I've read this book. I heeded its advice. That's why I'm here today. So here's the thing. If you're abducted, and you're on the slab and they're poking at your gonads, because that's what they always do. We know this is what aliens do, right? What you have? Tell the alien, oh, look over there! The alien turns away to snatch something off the shelf, okay? The ashtray, it doesn't matter. Put it in your pocket and then go back, right? Then they set you loose. You come back. Now you have something better than your eyewitness testimony to provide the scientists. Something of alien manufacture. And if they came from another planet in another galaxy, anything off their shelf is going to be interesting. Right? That's your lesson next time. Now, how about inept aliens? Okay, so what's this with aliens coming to Earth and crash landing? What's wrong with them? I don't want to meet those aliens. Get me the ones that know how to land, okay? Those are the ones I'll bring to the president, all right? I would think if an alien can cross the galaxy, it could figure out how to land on Earth, all right? Crash flying, so give me better data. What else is going on out there where there's no skepticism? What else do we have? Government. Swami levitation. Yeah, how about that? You've all read about this. You can like go on the internet. What a source of this kind of thing. You get pictures of people just floating there. Now, for all I know, there's a Swami levitation button on Photoshop these days. You just click it and float people. So, photos don't make good evidence anymore. They practically never did, actually. You would need to do this in a lab. A lab. Or, there is a way to do this. Laws of physics allow you to levitate. But it requires mass consumption of beans. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to give any more detail than that. Laws of physics allow you to levitate. In principle. I found this photo. This is a floating can of beans, right? That one I thought it had double. How about conspiracy theories? This is all about people who are already sure they know what's true. And then there's a point where they're missing some data. So they say, oh, that's been covered up by other people. So they don't let you know that. And so all the gaps in what it is they want to believe are filled in with claims that everybody's holding a secret to prevent their idea from being shown to be true. That's a conspiracy theorist. And so conspiracy theorists are people who are uncomfortable with the absence of data. And they somehow believe that everyone can keep a secret. But we know that's not true. In fact, you know the saying, the only way to keep a secret between two people is if one of them is dead. That's how that works. And how about this? There are people out there who think we never went to the moon. Well, what an interesting society we live in, where our technology is so advanced that people stand in denial of the technology. What a compliment that is, isn't it? But I tell you that the people who think we never went to the moon, they haven't had enough physics in their life. Because take a look at this photo. The Saturn V rocket, the mightiest rocket ever to be launched in the history of the world. The Saturn V rocket. You can calculate. Am I too loud? Okay. Good. Because this is on too. So I just want this. And then that's better. Yeah. I was at the bar last night and I felt the urge to tweet, but it was really late, and so I called it the universe after hours. That was fun. I won't tell you what I tweeted. Let's go back to my Saturn V rocket. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. So the Saturn V rocket, you go in there, well, where are the astronauts in that rocket? They're at the tiny little bitty tip. There's a 32-story hunk of hardware, and they're at the tip. At the tip. And all the rest of that is fuel. Okay? And you can calculate how much energy that fuel is. And it's enough energy to get you to the moon and back. You can calculate that. So the moon hosts are saying, we never went to the moon. Where do you think this rocket was going? Like the Piggly Wiggly or something? It's a rocket! My gosh! And I offer you the ability to calculate that just in case you still refuse to believe actual people who sat at the top of the rocket. Okay? Get me started. And I don't think you know how big this rocket is. Let's lay it down on the side for a moment and check it out. Here it is. This is the Saturn V rocket in Houston. Houston in the house. Right. So here it is. Look carefully. I'm sorry, it's a low-res photo, but midway along the rocket are two people standing there. Look how beetled they are. And one of those 5 mighty engines of the Saturn V is on it's upside down right there on the sidewalk. You could have a tea party inside of one of those engines, and there's 5 of those engines. Oh, we didn't go to the moon. Oh, yeah, we did this just to entertain ourselves. Yeah. This one comes around every August. The Mars virus. You ever caught the Mars virus? Oh, someone says, yeah! In 2003, Mars was closer to Earth. We were closer to each other than we had been in 60,000 years. You say, ooh, I would look at Mars tonight. It's closer than in 60,000 years. In fact, it made headlines of newspapers. Look at that. Mars is going to be close up. No one, they forgot to ask an important question. Okay, how much closer are we? How much closer? I'll tell you how much closer we are. Ready? Where are we? Seattle right now? Okay, so here we go. Let's say this direction is west. I don't know for sure, but let's pretend this is west. How much closer? Be like doing this, ready? Oh, we need me in the screen for this. Thank you, there we go. Okay. So here we go. Ready? I've never been this close to Asia before. That's what that news story is about. We somehow have no capacity to think about uninteresting records. We think they're all Guinness Book blockbusters. What else we got going? What did we put up there? Oh, aliens on Mars. This was fun. Okay, do you remember the Viking missions to Mars? There was an orbiter, a Viking orbiter. It went to Mars, and it took this photo. There's a face on Mars. Not just any face, it's a simian face. It's not a lobster face. It's not a bird face. It's a simian face. There's life on Mars. Most life on Earth doesn't have that kind of face. You're going to go to another planet and find a human face and assert that that's life, rather than just some interplay of shadows? So we went back. Let's get a closer view of that. There you go. kind of spooky too. The only thing that looks like a face from every camera angle is a face. So let's take this from another angle, with better resolution, with a better camera at a closer distance, and you get this. And you can sort of see where the eye sockets might have been, but then you get the conspiracy folks saying, the Martians figured out we were looking at them, and then he dusted over the... Once again, making stuff up, asserting a cover-up. What we're trying to do is inoculate you against such delusionary thinking. We have another image of it taken a few years later. Looks even less like a face. It's not a face. Now, that doesn't mean we haven't found evidence of life on Mars. There's a picture I just loaded this morning from NASA. It hasn't even hit the press yet. And so, here it is. Best evidence ever. So, if you look hard enough, you can find other shapes on the surface of Mars. How about the Valentine crater? How about you like that one?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, isn't that? What else can we find on Mars? The smiley face crater. How about that? What else we got going? How about full moons and birthdays? You've heard this one. Full moon comes and more babies get born. So what are people thinking? Like you're there on the thing and the baby just gets pulled out, there's the moon, and the moon is just sucking the baby out of the... What are people thinking? That the gravity is tugging it up, I guess. But here's the thing, the human female gestation period is 295 days on average, from conception to birth. The average time between full moons is 29 and a half days. If you divide those two numbers, you get 10. 10 full moons is the gestation period of the human female, which means if you were born during a full moon, you were conceived under a full moon. That's all that meant, okay? Nobody's denying the romantic effects of a full moon. Just analyze it a little more deeply and you get to the bottom of the situation. How about full moons and lunatics? Got a few lunatics in the front row, apparently. All right. You know how the argument goes. The moon affects the tides on Earth. Tides are made of water. The human body is mostly water. So clearly the moon must affect the human body. You can calculate how much the moon affects the human body. Calculate that. And here's the answer you get. The tidal force of the moon across your head, because that's what matters here, we're talking about your behavior. It's not your kneecap that you're worried about here, it's your brain. The tidal force across your head from the moon is 1 trillionth as strong as the weight of your bedroom pillow on the side of your neck. So the pillow is 1 trillion times stronger on your head than the moon is. But no one talks about pillow ticks or some other philosophy about how you sleep relative to the pillows on your bed. They're absent skepticism. Here's a story just from a few days ago, the supermoon. You heard this one? Remember that? Full moon, and it was close. The moon was going to be at the perigee, closest point in its orbit to Earth. And they said, oh my God, it's supermoon. It was even in headlines. Supermoon rises, biggest full moon in 18 years. How much bigger? Okay. Nobody was asking that question. Nobody. How much bigger? Well, let's take a picture. This is taken by a NASA photographer that night of the supermoon. And you say, oh, that's a big moon. Oh, excuse me, it was taken with a 400mm lens from 3/4 of a mile away. Put anything in a 400mm lens, it's going to look big. Well, using Photoshop, I made that moon how big it is at its smallest. Because the moon's orbit is elliptical, sometimes close, sometimes far. What's that range? Well, let's find out. Look carefully. You ready? So here it goes. Got that? That's it. There you go. That's the littlest. Then we go back to the biggest. And then the littlest. Okay? Okay, so now the supermoon is not even touting how big it is here. It's saying among supermoons it was big. That's what it's trying to tell us. Well, let's see how big it was among supermoons. Well, if a small moon is like the size of a 7-inch pizza, and an average moon is a 7.5-inch pizza, and the largest of the moon in the month is an 8-inch pizza, then the supermoon, bigger than the average large moon, was this size. Never been this close to Europe before, you know? Supermoon. How am I doing on time? I gotta speed up. By the way, you've seen the moon on the horizon and it looks huge? It looks huge? Well, by the way, the moon has probably looked bigger to this gentleman than anybody else in this room. But the full moon, it's an illusion. And here's what you do. Go home and get a household straw. A straw. A drinking straw. It could even be a coffee stirrer straw. One of the really skinny kind that you can't use for milkshakes. Okay? Take that straw. And if the moon is nice and huge on the horizon, spot the moon through the straw. Through the straw. When you do, you will find that the entire moon fits inside the straw. And I did that up for you. That's what it would look like. There's your moon, inside of a drinking straw. Okay? It's not as big as you think. Take a household camera, take a picture of it, you can barely see what it looks like in the image. Now, what does all this mean? We're here in America. I like to think that we value critical thinking, but I'm not quite sure. I know other countries do. Enough so that before the euro began, they put scientists on their money. So that while you were buying candy bars, somebody's looking at you who had background in scientific discovery. These are 6 different countries here. We've got Tesla in the upper right and Copernicus in the middle right. Bottom right, we've got that's Marconi, Saint-Exupéry in the left. Let's flip over these bills. You flip them over. This is the backside. Iconography of their trade. Lightning bolts for Tesla, big onto electricity. Copernicus has got the sun in the middle of the known solar system. Doesn't stop there. There's more. There's more. There's the more. So here we have Iraqi currency. This is a gentleman from 1,000 years ago who figured out how the eye works. In Israel, we have Einstein. Einstein, of course, was not Israeli, but when you're famous, people claim you, and so here he is. Nonetheless, these folks are staring right back at you. Here's some more countries. We've got Galileo, the upper right, Newton, my man, in the middle left. These are important folks. Bottom left is Pasteur. I have no idea what they're doing to that dog in the photo. Look at that. I don't know if you can see it. Poor dog. Anyhow, these are scientists staring back at you. When you think of the best engineers in the world, what country do you think of?
Austria.
Germany. No, someone said United States. Today, that's wishful thinking, I think. I don't know. We can debate that. I don't know. Historically, it's been Germany. Germany makes really good stuff that lasts. It's high quality. And let's take a look at that German Deutschmark in the middle right. Get a close-up. So this is Carl Friedrich Gauss. Gauss, wait a minute. Let's get a little closer to that. There's a mathematical distribution function of the money. Look at that. No, it doesn't matter if you even know what that know it's math. And you're a kid spending this cash, you say, what is that? It's math. I want to learn more about it. In America, do we have scientists on our money? No, well, maybe there's Ben. We got Ben. Ben liked electricity. So surely there's like a lightning bolt on this, but let's see. Nope, no lightning bolt. How about a kite? Is there a kite? No, not a kite either. Or a key? The iconography of his electric train? No. He's on the money as a founding father, with no regard to him being a scientist. He was the most famous scientist in his day, known throughout Europe. And that fact is missing here in America. So let's go back to America and find out some of our challenges. So here we have a fear of numbers. This scares me. In America, we fear numbers. Here's a photo from an elevator. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14! Who's the one that said America has the best engineers? This is a country where we have people walking among us afraid of the number 13. I feel like taking a Sharpie every time I see that crossing off the 14 and say, that's the 13th floor. You're fooling. We're also afraid of negative numbers. You go into an elevator, you go below ground level, what do they call it? It's like B, S, B, S, B, B. Can I buy a vowel, please? Wait, where are you taking me here? We have a perfectly good system of measure to take you below zero. They're called negative numbers. Guess who doesn't fear negative numbers? Germany. Here, there's a museum for -1. That's not even a science museum, it's a history museum. Let's get a closer look. There, -1. Man, get me started. Is there a cost to society? Yes, there is, I think. There is a cost. Let's take a look at the cost in physics. Here is an ad taken out by the Bayer Corporation, boasting that their scientists go into the schools and share their expertise with students. And it says, you're on. Try to get them interested in science. And why? Come on, it's your turn. They're challenging you to take your expertise into the school system. And the premise is that these kids are just disinterested. So holding aside the fact that they got a black kid and a woman in the picture as the measure of who's disinterested, let's put that aside for the moment. So, but how about the white guy with the tattoo who just got off the Harley? How come he's not in this picture either? Like, where is he? All right? So these are the measures of the stupid people in the world, apparently. All right, so look at what the ad says. You're on. Get them interested in why lighter things fall faster than heavier things. Thinking, what universe could that possibly be true in? There is none. They're just completely messed up. Somebody had to typeset that, compose the ad, proofread it. It went into the newspaper, into the magazine. Nobody caught it. That is profound physics illiteracy. In fact, everyone in that supply chain is the one who should be pictured in this photo, all right? They're the ones who lead. They ultimately fixed it. They fixed it. So try to get them interested in why lighter things fall as fast as heavy things. That's the Galilean experiment. We could do that experiment right now. Take a shoe. And I have my little clicker here. My shoe weighs more than the clicker, I promise you. Put me there, got me there, good, good. So I dropped them at the same time. There we go, they fell. So, I need an innocent grant to do that experiment. Now that I broke my clicker. There's another one, this is an ad. It's a scary ad. This is an actual ad from Holiday Inn in Europe. And they had a new program where you can order 2 human beings to pre-warm your bed for you before you went to sleep. So that's kind of creepy, I think, but it's, I don't think the guy's looking at the woman, not the guy, right? But here's the problem. For them to really warm your bed, they should be naked, so the heat can leave their body and warm the bed. But that would be a sanitary problem, so they cloak them in insulated clothing, which means their heat doesn't leave their body. So this won't work. It's an entire campaign based on bad physics. How about math? I ran out of time. How about math? How about this one? Member of Congress. Change my views 360 degrees on that one. You're facing the same damn direction. How about this one? Half the schools in the district are below average. That's what an average is! About half below and half above. This is a mathematically illiterate journalist. They probably meant half or below standards or below grade level. Okay, then say that. Here's a more subtle one. 80% of airplane crash survivors studied the locations of the exit doors on takeoff. I said, that's a good one. I'm going to read where the exit doors are on takeoff, because I want to be in that 80%. Here's the problem. Suppose 100% of the dead people read where the exit doors were on takeoff. You would never know, because they're dead, right? So it could be that reading where the exit doors are hazardous to your health. This does not contain that information. I just have a few slides left here. I got to blow through. Here's the problem. We live in a society that for an entire several generations in a row, we led the world in practically everything. Economic strength, our technologies, our scientific prowess. And I look back at just the last couple of years and levees break in New Orleans. People blame this on the hurricane. You know, the hurricane went through New Orleans, came out the other side. People were sweeping up the streets. Then the levees broke. This is not a problem of a hurricane. This is a failure of engineering that needs to be known to all. Steam pipes exploded. Steam giving steam to a pipe? I thought we figured that one out a long time ago. People die in these things. This is the crumbling of our infrastructure. Bridges collapsed. I-35 in Minnesota. We can't keep up a bridge over that river? That's not even a big, look at that. That's a stream. There's Roman bridges still standing today in Europe that have been standing for 2,000 years. What's going on? What country is this? What country? Trains collide. Thought we would have had that one figured out long ago. You're going one way and the other, they should be on different tracks. Oil spill. This is a complete crumbling of the infrastructure of the United States. Any success stories? We got to go to the world. I think there is a success story. The success story is the Japanese earthquake. Check this out. Remember the Haiti earthquake? 250,000 people died. It was a magnitude 7 earthquake. 250,000 people died. The epicenter was right below a populous city, but none of the buildings could survive a magnitude 7 quake. Japan gets an earthquake. It's magnitude 9, 1,000 times more powerful. A tsunami follows it. A nuclear reactor fails. At most, 2,800 a day. A tenth of the previous number. So the story that no one writes about is how many people could have died in a magnitude 9 earthquake in Japan. That's not a story to people, apparently. it is to me. It is to me, because it's a triumph of engineering, not a failure of it. Not enough attention is given to this. And my last 3 slides are easy. This is a map of the world with the area of each country shown in proportion to the area on the globe. So it's just a regular map. Okay. So now, I'm going to show each country. I'm going to enlarge each country or shrink it according to how much science is published in that country. Peer-reviewed science. This will be a measure of where the action is in the world. Look carefully, okay? Here we go. Bada bing. Look, the United States sitting fat and happy there. Look at that.
McDonald's.
We must be doing good. Europe is huge. Wait, what's that purple thing on the right? Well, let's go back one. Oh, that's Japan. Japan is huge. There's Japan. The great travesty here, if we go back one, is Africa. One of the largest land masses of this map, and it disappears when you measure how much science is being done. This is a map not only of where the science is being done, but of the health and the wealth of nations. That's not an accident. Hardly any science happens in Africa. And it's one of the poorest nations, poorest regions of the world. And so, take a look at today. Now I'm going to ask a different question, because maybe this is not what's interesting. It's not where the science is happening. It's what the trend in the science is. The trend. So let's look at the difference between how much science was conducted 10 years ago versus today. That's the writing on the wall. That's where you're headed. And when we do that, this map becomes that map. America fades. America shrinks. Europe gets even bigger. China, shown there in green, is huge. Japan is even bigger. And so I stand here in front of you, 3,500 students of tomorrow, and I say to you, there is no greater call for what the world needs than not only an enthusiasm for what role science, technology, engineering, and math can play in your lives, but what role it can play in the future of the world. And in there, you'll be fuzzy thinking people in your way. They'll be there. But what we need to do is alert them that the methods and tools of science, in fact, are the most effective way we've ever devised to deduce the nature of the physical world and to improve the human condition. So I will see you on that frontier. Thank you all for your time.